The Ark of the Covenant was being moved, God's sacred chest, carried with reverence by the people of Israel. But suddenly, the oxen stumbled, the cart shook, and the sacred ark began to slip. Instinctively, a man reached out, trying to stop the ark from falling. In that moment, his hand touched what was holy. Instantly, he fell to the ground, struck down where he stood. The celebration stopped. Silence filled the air. Everyone stood frozen, realizing the power of God's holiness.
Before we dive in, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's explore the uncomfortable truth together.
So what really happened on that road to Jerusalem? And why would God kill someone who was just trying to help? To understand this story, we need to go back to ancient Israel, around 1000 BC. David has just become king over all Israel, and things are going well. He has captured Jerusalem, defeated his enemies, and now he wants to do something that will unite the entire nation under God. He wants to bring home the Ark of the Covenant. Now, if you do not know about the Ark, imagine the most sacred, most holy object you can think of. This was not just a religious symbol. According to Israelite belief, this was where God's presence actually lived on earth. It was a gold-covered chest containing the 10 Commandments, Aaron's rod, and a sample of manna from the wilderness.
But here is the problem. The Ark had been missing for many years. Enemy soldiers had captured it in battle. When it caused them nothing but disasters, sickness, plagues, their God's statue falling and breaking, they sent it back. But instead of returning to Jerusalem, it ended up sitting in a house in Kiriath Jearim for 20 years. David decides it is time to bring God's presence back to the center of Israel's worship. He gathers 30,000 of Israel's best men and creates a massive worship parade. Music, dancing, celebration. This is going to be the greatest day in Israel's recent history. So they load the ark onto a brand new cart. This sounds respectful, right? A new cart for God's holy ark. They put it on the cart, and Uzzah and Ahio, sons of Abinadab, in whose house the ark had been staying, are guiding it. David and all of Israel are celebrating before the Lord with everything they have: harps, lyres, tambourines, and cymbals.
The atmosphere is electric. Can you imagine it? Thousands of people, music filling the air, the king himself dancing and celebrating. After many years of the ark being hidden away, it is finally coming home. This is their moment. They are making their way down the road when suddenly they come to the threshing floor of Nakarn. Now, threshing floors were flat, open areas where grain was processed. But here is what happens. The oxen pulling the cart stumble. Maybe there is a hole in the road. Maybe the oxen step wrong. Whatever happens, the cart shakes and the ark starts to tip. In that instant, Uzzah does what anyone would do, what seems like the most natural, protective thing in the world. He reaches out his hand to steady the ark, to keep it from falling. His hand touches the ark.
And God strikes him dead, right there, instantly. The Bible says God struck him down there for treating the ark with disrespect, and he died there beside the ark of God. The music stops. The celebration ends. One moment there is joy. The next there is a dead body on the ground next to God's ark. The Bible tells us David's reaction clearly. He was angry, not just upset, angry at God. The text says he was very displeased. David had thrown this massive party to honor God, and now someone is dead. And not just anyone. Someone who was trying to help, trying to protect God's ark from hitting the dirt. David is so disturbed that he refuses to continue. He asks, "How can the ark of the Lord ever come to me?" The whole parade stops. David has the ark taken to the nearby house of Obed-Edom instead. The parade is over. The celebration is done. Everyone goes home, probably in stunned silence, trying to understand what they just witnessed. And David, he stays afraid of the ark for 3 months. Think about that. The king of Israel, the man who killed the giant Goliath, who faced armies, he is now afraid of the ark of God. Because if reaching out to steady it gets you killed, what else might anger this God?
Here is what makes this story so deeply unsettling. Uzzah's intentions seem completely pure. He was not stealing the ark. He was not mocking it. He was not treating it badly. He was protecting it. His action was quick, protective, even respectful. And yet, death. Immediate death that could not be undone. So here is the question everyone asks. Why? Why would God kill someone for trying to help? To understand, we need to understand what they did wrong. And yes, there was something very wrong happening here, even though it seems innocent to us. First, the method of transport. God had given very specific instructions about how the ark was to be carried. It was never, ever supposed to be on a cart. Never. The ark had rings on its sides, and poles were supposed to go through those rings. It was to be carried on the shoulders of special priests called Levites, and only specific Levites from one family. They were not even supposed to touch the ark directly. The poles kept distance between them and the ark.
But here is what David did. He looked at how Israel's enemies transported it. These enemies did not know God's law. They did not have his instructions. They put it on a cart pulled by oxen. And David thought, hey, that worked for them. Let's do that. He copied methods from people who did not know God to transport God's presence. New cart or not, this was wrong from the start. Second, Uzzah himself. As someone who lived in the house with the ark for years, Uzzah should have known better than anyone how holy this object was. He had grown familiar with it, and that familiarity made him casual. When the moment came, he touched it without thinking, something that was absolutely forbidden. Here is the deeper issue. The ark was not in danger. God did not need Uzzah's hand to protect his presence. The assumption that God's glory needed human help to prevent disaster was itself the problem.
Uzzah acted as if the ark was just an object that needed protection, forgetting that this was where God himself lived.
But there is something even more important here. In that moment, what was at stake was the entire nation's understanding of who God is. If God let this slide, if he allowed his clear commands about his holiness to be violated without consequence, what message would that send? This is where the story gets really uncomfortable for modern readers, because what Uzzah's death teaches is this: God's holiness cannot be negotiated. It is not subject to our good intentions. It is not something we can handle casually, even with the best motives. The shock here is not really that someone died for helping. The shock is that we have lost all sense of God's holiness. We have made God small in our minds. We think of him as a friend, a helper, someone who exists to make us happy and comfortable. But the God of the Bible is holy, completely different, set apart, and that holiness is dangerous to approach incorrectly, not because God is cruel, but because holiness and sin cannot exist together. Think of it this way: if you stuck your hand into the core of a nuclear reactor, you would die. Not because the reactor is mean or cruel, but because that is the nature of that kind of power. You do not approach it casually. You do not make up your own safety rules. You follow the exact procedures, or you die.
God's holiness is infinitely more powerful, infinitely more dangerous than radiation. Now, here is what is fascinating. After 3 months, David tries again, but this time he does it right. He has the Levites carry it on their shoulders with poles, exactly as God commanded. He offers sacrifices. He follows the rules. And this time, joy, celebration, success. The ark makes it to Jerusalem, and David dances before the Lord with all his might. Same ark, same God, different approach, different result. So what do we take from this disturbing story? Uzzah's death was not random. It was a severe lesson about approaching God. You cannot come to God on your own terms, with your own methods, no matter how sincere you are. Sincerity does not override holiness. This story also shows us why we needed something the Old Testament people did not have: a mediator, someone who could stand between holy God and sinful humanity, someone who could touch both God and us without either being destroyed.
Christians would say that is exactly what Jesus became. The one who could handle God's holiness and human sinfulness at the same time. The one who makes it possible for us to approach God without dying. But even with that access, the lesson of Uzzah remains. God is not safe. He is good, but he is not safe. He is not casual. He is not our buddy who overlooks anything because we meant well. Uzzah reached out to steady the ark, thinking God needed his help. He died learning that God never needed him. We need God, and we need to approach him with respect, with awe, with trembling. The ark eventually made it to Jerusalem, but Uzzah never saw it happen, and his story has been echoing through history ever since, asking us one question: do you really understand who God is?